Okay, so we're going to begin reading Mr. Impossible. It is a level 2.9 and it gives you 0.5 points. The accelerated reading quiz number is 123192.
Okay.
I'm going to show it to you right here. And then in the description of the video, I'll go ahead and put it in there. That way you guys test. This one will give you, I think it said like 700 words. So please watch it super quick and test on it. So Mr. Impossible by Roger Hargreaves. I'll show you the pictures too. It says, Mr. Impossible could do the most amazing things. For instance, Mr. Impossible could jump over a house. You try it. It's impossible. And Mr. Impossible could make himself invisible. All he had to do was stand there and think about becoming invisible. And he became invisible. You try it. It's impossible. Did I show it to you right? There you go. And Mr. Impossible could fly. And all he had to do was stand there and flap his arms around and around, and off he flew. You try it. It's impossible. Makes me want to try it. Just so that I can say I did. One day, Mr. Impossible was out walking in the woods when he met a boy named William. Remember that. William was on his way to school. Hello, said Mr. Impossible. Hello, replied William. I'm William. I'm Mr. Impossible, said Mr. Impossible. Really? Said William. Really, smiled Mr. Impossible. Picture. Can you do impossible things? Asked William. Haven't you come across anything I couldn't do? Replied Mr. Impossible, modestly. William thought, Can you climb up that tree? He asked, pointing to the biggest tree in the woods. I can do better than that, replied Mr. Impossible. I can walk up that tree. And he did. William thought again. Can you stand on one hand? He asked. I can do better than that, replied Mr. Impossible. I can stand on no hands. And he did. That's impossible, cried William. True, replied Mr. Impossible. He said he can stand with no hands. Then William remembered that he was on his way to school. So he remembered. Why don't you come with me? He asked. But I've never been to school before, Mr. Impossible said. Then it's time that you did, replied William. Come on. There he is. He's going to start taking Mr. Impossible to school. We can hear that. William and Mr. Impossible sat at the back of William's classroom with all the other children. The teacher came in, but didn't notice that there was something extra in his class that morning. Good morning, children, said the teacher. I have a very difficult math problem for you to do today. It will take you most of the morning to work out the answer. And he wrote the problem on the blackboard. Look, there's Ms.Flores writing on the blackboard. It was the most difficult problem William had ever seen in his whole life. Was it really? Full of multiplications and divisions and addition and other things William didn't enjoy. That sounds like a lot of you. Let's see if he's able to do it. The teacher was right. It would indeed take most of the morning to work out the answer, if not most of the afternoon as well. Mr. Impossible whispered in William's ear. There he is whispering. William put up his hands. Yes, William, said the teacher. Is there something about the problem that you don't understand? Excuse me, sir, said William. Is the answer 23? The teacher was absolutely, totally, completely amazed. How did you work out the problem so quickly? He grasped. It's impossible. Nothing's impossible, said Mr. Impossible from the back of the class and stood up. Well, I never, explained the teacher. So he never what? He never thought that he was going to be able to solve it so quickly. And he did. Let's see. After that, Mr. Impossible spent all day at school. He showed the teacher how he could read a book upside down. That's impossible, said the children who were watching. Absolutely, replied Mr. Impossible. And there he is, reading the book upside down. Then William asked Mr. Impossible if he would like to play in the school kickball game. Oh, yes, please, replied Mr. Impossible. I've never played kickball before. And do you know what he did? He kicked the ball so high into air that when it came down, it had snow on it. That's how high he kicked it. What an impossible thing to do. So he kicked it so high, it came back with snow on top of the ball. Then it was time to go home. Mr. Impossible said goodbye to all the people at the school and then said goodbye to William. Goodbye, Mr. Impossible, said William. Goodbye. William rubbed his eyes and went home. Just like that, he disappeared. William's mother and father were waiting for him. Hello, William, they said. Did you have a good day at school? Yes, replied William, and I met somebody who can do anything in the world. Really, William? They both laughed. You're impossible. William smiled and went inside. Here's his parents. And 100 miles away, a small figure was listening to what William's parents and father were saying. And he grinned, an impossible grin. And then he went to sleep, standing on his head. And we all know that's what? What's his name? Impossible. The end. So before we finish, I want to go back here. He said that even though he was 100 miles away, he was still listening to what William's parents were saying, right? He was still listening. Anything that Mr. Impossible did was not impossible for him. And that's just like you guys. There's so many things that we face in life that we may think that we're not able to accomplish them, when in reality we are. And I know you guys can. Again, back to that sign, turn your can't into can. All right, I'll start reading the next book later. Bye.